Your revenge fantasy isn't about justice. It's about avoiding 3 words you cannot say out loud. The most elaborate revenge fantasy I've ever seen in anime takes 200 words to explain. The pain underneath it, 3 words. Death Parade episode 8 and 9 show 2 men who built philosophical fortresses around their suffering. One became a vigilant detective, the other became a protective avenger. Both created complexity so sophisticated, so intellectually defensible that they could argue about it forever. And that was exactly the point. But here's what's terrifying me about those episodes. One of them never breaks. He dies with his fortress intact, still explaining, still justified, still defended. And I realized that's not a villain death. That's how most people live their entire lives. By the end of this video, you'll know your 3 words, and you'll wish you didn't. Death Parade gives us 2 men who built 2 different fortresses. Tatsumi, the detective who became a killer. After his wife was murdered, he didn't just grieve, he transformed. Listen to what he says.
妻を殺害したクソ野郎に復讐した後、俺は悲しみも怒りも乗り越えて、恐ろしく冷静になった。
And then, this is the part that terrifies me.
妻の感謝する声が聞こえたよ。
He didn't just kill for revenge. He heard her thanking him. That's not grief processing. That's fortress architecture. He builds meaning from murder. Made his wife's death into a mission. Transformed pain into purpose so perfectly that he never had to feel the original wound again. He created an entire worldview, a moral system, a hierarchy of human worth. He's calm, articulate, reasonable, and completely defended against feeling anything. Shimada, the protective brother, he doesn't build philosophy, he builds emotional justification.
サイのことは兄ちゃんが守るから。
Different fortress, same function. Here's what's brilliant about those episodes. Death Parade puts those 2 men in a room together and lets their fortresses collide. And then comes the revelation that destroys everything. Tatsumi didn't just fail to save Shimada's sister, he watched it happen on purpose.
助けたら殺せないだろう。裁定するには被害者が必要だろう。
Shimada's word shudders.
なんで止めてくれなかったんだ。妹が襲われている時になんで助けてくれなかったんだ。あんたならできただろう。
But Tatsumi stays defended.
確認する必要があった。最後まで見なければ裁定はできない。
Here's what's happened next. And this is the part most people miss. Shimada's fortress is already destroyed. He knows his sister could have been saved. There's nothing left to defend. Decim has prepared game pieces, each one linked to the Tatsumi's body. Cutting them won't kill, but it will cause enormous pain. Chiyuki runs to him, tries to stop him. She explains the truth.
落ち着いて。これは最低なの。天国と地獄なんて嘘。本当は虚無か転生かどっちかなの。転生すれば違った形で妹さんにまた会えるかもしれない。
For a moment, Shimada almost listens. And then Tatsumi delivers the final blow. Self-help philosophy twisted into a weapon.
甘いんだよお前ら。自分で守れないなら相手を殺すしかないだろう。世界が残酷なのは当たり前なんだ。世界を変えられないならお前が変われ。
Shimada cuts through every single one. And then this is the part that destroys me.
さえ、今度こそ守る。
That hollow laugh, right after the violence, he starts to say, "This time I'll protect you." His sister's alive, she survived, but Shimada knows protecting her now means nothing. The damage is done. The man who could have stopped is already dead. Cutting through these game pieces won't undo what happened to Sae. And Chiyuki told him, if he does this, he'll lose everything. Void instead of reincarnation. No chance to ever see his sister again. Not in this life, not in any form. He heard her. He understood. And he did it anyway. Because the motion of protecting was all he had left. That love is him realizing he is not protecting anyone. He is just performing the ritual of protection in a rubble of a fortress that already collapsed. Two men, two fortresses. Tatsumi dies with his intact. He heard his wife's voice thanking him. He never questioned it. Shimada watches his crumble, laughs at the ruins, and keeps performing the rituals anyway. Which one is you? Because here's what I've learned. Most of us aren't Tatsumi. We are not that defended. Most of us are Shimada. We know our fortress is broken. We know the ritual is empty. And we do it anyway, because the familiar motion is easier than the unfamiliar truth. That's not strength, either version. That's two different ways to die before you feel. Then Chiyuki, who's been watching everything, delivers the most important line in entire series.
人はあんたが思ってるほど複雑なんかじゃない。もっと単純に簡単なことで悲しんで怒ったりするの。ちょっとしたことにすぐ影響を受けてどう転ぶかもわからないまま生きてる。それが人なの。
She's not talking about Tatsumi. She's talking about us. We build complexity because simple hurts too much. 3 words pain. I was hurt. I was alone. I failed. That's it. That's what Tatsumi's 200-word philosophy is defending against. That's what Shimada Raitage's rage is covering. Simple, unbearable, true. Here's what your brain does. Something hurts. I was betrayed. And your brain doesn't want to feel that. So it does something clever. It adds layers. I was betrayed becomes people are fundamentally untrustworthy, which becomes I need a system to evaluate human worth, which becomes society requires people like me to maintain order. Each layer one step away from the original wound. By the time you've built a full philosophy, you've forgotten there was ever simple pain underneath. Tatsumi kills people, not from grief, from philosophy. Shimada attacks, not from pain, from being right. My martial arts teacher told me about Kuzushi, breaking someone's balance before they realize it's happening. He said, small, invisible shifts create the fall. By the time they notice, their foundation is already gone. In a fight, you don't push someone over. You make tiny adjustments, a shift of weight here, pull there, until they're already falling before they know it. Your brain does this with your own emotions. I was betrayed, one small shift becomes people can't be trusted. Another shift, I need to protect myself. Another, I'm better off alone. Each layer of complexity, one small, invisible shift away from what you actually feel. By the time you've built a full fortress, you don't even remember the original wound. You just know you've defended, and that feels like strength. But it's not strength. It's balanced. You lost so slowly. You forgot you were ever standing straight. And that's why complexity feels so comfortable. You are not defending an idea. You are defending against a feeling. I know this because I did it for years. I built fortress called I don't need anymore. I was the quiet kid. I learned to be self-sufficient, independent. I told myself I preferred being alone. And the whole time I was avoiding 3 words. Nobody will stay. All that independence, this was architecture designed to leave first, before anyone could leave me. So, here's it I'm asking you. Not technique, not steps, just honesty. Think about the last time you've explained yourself for more than 30 seconds. The justification, the philosophy that anyone would feel this way, what were you actually hiding from? Not what were you defending. Defending sounds noble. Hiding. That's the honest word. The answer isn't philosophy. It's 3 words you've been running from. And here's the terrifying part. You already know what they are. You've always known. 3-word pains have no defense. You cannot argue with I feel abandoned. You can only feel it. That's exactly why your brain builds fortresses. Simple pain has no hiding places. But it also has something your fortress never will. The ability to actually change. Complex philosophy you can defend forever. Simple pain just hurts. But your simple pain, you can actually feel it, work with it, move through it. Your fortress keeps you safe. It also keeps you stuck. Most anime gives you redemption. The villain breaks down, understands, changes. There is tearful moment, growth, transformation. Death Parade doesn't do that. Tatsumi dies with his fortress intact. Still explaining, still justified, still defended.
誰だってどこまでも残酷になれる。俺は他のやつよりちょっとその境界線が手前になっただけだ。
That's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in anime, because that's how most people live their entire lives. Never saying the 3 words, never feeling the simple pain, just explaining forever. Your fortress was protection. It served you. Maybe it saved you. Honor that. And then ask yourself, do you want to die still explaining? Or do you want to say 3 words while you are still alive? Chiyuki saw through everything.
人はあんたが思ってるほど複雑なんかじゃない。もっと単純に簡単なことで悲しんで怒ったりするの。それが人なの。
Tatsumi died defended. What are 3 words you are dying to avoid? Say them out loud, even just to yourself. That's where your real life is waiting.